So the emotional authority is by far the most common one. 58% of the population, some statistics say as low as 50%, but 50 to 58% of the population is constantly in a state of feeling something. That means that their emotional center is defined. It's the only center that if it's defined, it just determines your authority. So that means that they are here to experience and observe emotions until they get clarity. So I'm going to speak to you, the emotional authority. And if you're watching this on behalf of somebody else in your life that's an emotional authority, I'm going to be speaking to the emotional authorities. So you are here to feel life. You're here to feel your way through life. And that can be a little bit confusing because you're not meant to make decisions in your emotions. You're here to let your emotions have their flow. And then as they come and go, after that point is when you get the clarity. So understanding the emotional wave is vital. There are highs and there are lows, and that's just the way that it is. And you may have told yourself up until this point in your life, like, oh, I'm going to get on top of this and then I won't be so emotional, or I'm just going to get it together. I'm going to get my act together, or I'm just going to take this medication and then I won't feel so depressed all the time. Or why can't I just get back to feeling happy? And you might think that that high is your normal and that that's where you're supposed to be. But you will have highs and you will have lows, and you will have highs and you will have lows, and you will have everything in between. And some days you will feel good just because you feel good. Some days you will feel bad just because you feel bad. And the most damaging thing you can do to your life is when you're in a low to go find a reason why that low exists and then blame this person or be upset about this or quit that job or start this new project or whatever just because you're in a low. Your emotions are there as sacred guides for you, but they are not the point of making decisions. So this one is honestly one of the most tricky ones because it's very complicated. And patience is essential, as timing for you is different. So the most important thing that you can learn to do with this is to not say yes in the moment. You need time to make decisions. You need time to make decisions. You need time to make decisions. I'm repeating myself because this is one of the number one things that I see emotional authorities skipping over. So let's take the scenario of a friend sends you a text and is like, hey, let's go to lunch on Thursday. And you reply back immediately because you're not taking time at this point. You don't know this yet. And you say, oh my gosh, yeah, that'd be great. Let's do it. And then like maybe later that day, or you wake up the next morning and you're like, oh, why did I commit to this? I don't want to do this, or come Thursday or whatever, right? You may have realized, like, I don't have time on Thursday. Like, my whole schedule is packed and I was excited in the moment. I want to see this person. They're not usually available, but I said yes before really taking a minute to think it through and to feel it through. Or you might think, I don't actually like this person. Like, they drain my energy. I don't like how I feel when I'm done hanging out with them. Like, why did I say yes to this? Or you might be like, you know what? I'm on a specific budget because I'm trying to save up for something or get out of debt or whatever. And going to lunch is really just not in alignment for me right now. Like, what was I thinking? There could be a myriad of reasons why in the moment you said yes and why later you regret that decision. Or say somebody asks you if you want to do this new opportunity or whatever, and you're like, oh, I don't think that's a good idea. And you say no because you're scared. But then later you're like, oh, like I should have said yes. Like this could have been so good. Like there was only like one thing in the way. I could have just moved that. And then, then it would have been fine. But making the decision out of fear or out of apprehension or anxiety or whatever, you're going to regret it later. So when you're in that emotional high or emotional low is not the time to make decisions, which is why you need time. Some of those emotional waves are going to take several minutes, days, weeks, months. It can take a while to go through an emotional wave. And when you have an opportunity to make a choice, and this goes for any aura type except for a reflector can be an emotional authority. And so when you're following your strategy, so you're informing or responding or being invited and not waiting a lunar cycle, because obviously that one doesn't apply to this. But when you're following your strategy and then you're checking in with your authority, and if your authority is this emotional authority, first you follow your strategy, and then before you know what to commit to, what to really put in earnest your energy towards, You need to wait for that emotional wave. Let the highs happen and then let the lows happen. And you become an observer of these powerful emotions. And as you go through this wave, what you're doing is you're allowing the joy and the excitement and the, oh my gosh, that would be so fun. And then allowing the like, oh, that would be terrible. Or I don't know if I want to invest that much money in this, or I don't know if I want to take the time to do it, or I'm concerned about my energy levels, or last time I did this, it went bad, or whatever. Let yourself go through those highs and lows and highs and lows, and what you're doing in those, because you're letting them fully express. And this doesn't mean that you're going to behave in a like bipolar way. And you could be bipolar and have an emotional authority, and you can not be bipolar and have an emotional authority. But if you're letting this express, even if it's just what you're feeling inside of you, you're gathering those data points on the highs and the lows. So you observe and you say, oh, what about this gets me so excited? Like, oh, I really do love spending time with this person. Like, I just always feel better when we're done. That's good to know. And then if you're in a low and you're like, oh, all the anxiety or all the sadness, or this just doesn't really light me up anymore, observe why. What about this is causing that state of mind to occur? And then when you're back in the high, and don't try to quantify how much time it's going to take you. Often the bigger the decision, the longer the emotional wave. Or maybe you entered the emotional wave a while ago and you've already been in the wave. And then by the time the decision presents itself, you get that clarity a little bit quicker. But making any decision in the moment, you will probably regret it. Now, most advertising is geared towards the emotional authority, because if it's 50+% of the population, you're going to do really well with that, right? So if you start noticing advertising is going to get you really excited about this thing, right? This is why a lot of people don't like car shopping, because if you make a decision from that high excitement and enthusiasm, it's common to later be like, wow, I totally spent too much, or I didn't want the red one, or whatever. And so allowing that emotion to go and getting really, really good at the phrase of, great, can I get back to you about that tomorrow? Or when do you need to know by? Or what's the deadline for me making a decision about this? And resist the urge to say yes or no in the moment, unless, you know, in the caveat moments of like, you had already been thinking about this for a while and feeling it out or whatever, and you feel like you really do have that clarity. But as you're beginning to play with this, just universally, just don't make decisions in the moment. Just let yourself experiment with this, because you will go up and you will go down, and then you'll come back up again, and then you'll go back down again. And it's just the way that it is. For me, as an emotional authority, this has liberated me, where I can just tell myself or tell people around me that understand this, like, oh, I'm in an emotional low today. Like, I'm just a little bit more sad. I have a really gigantic personality and I'm generally pretty happy. So when I'm not happy, it can really disturb people around me, and it can make them feel really apprehensive. And I took a lot of responsibility on myself for that. But now I can just be like, oh, this is just the way it is. I don't have to show up in a specific emotional experience for other people to be comfortable. But I also get to take responsibility for the emotions and for the energy that I'm bringing into a space. So hopefully that helps you to have even more clarity around your powerful emotions.